fact,
Okay,
really,
so what we have done is we've entered into negotiation, two parties have got together, this is the price we've agreed on, and this is where the town is. This is the price we're going to a town meeting and a referendum for. You can banter all day, whether it should be 800, whether it be 400, whether it should be 650. This is the price we're going. There's really no other questions to be asked about it, because this is what the townspeople are being presented.
Right,
We can ask, is the land worth 10,000 an acre, 2,000, 5,000, 20,000? This is what we have. You can beat a dead horse, but it's not going to come alive.
This is not what you have. This is what you guys chose and voted to present to the townspeople in the perception of the townspeople that you guys have negotiated to the hardest part to make a good, fair decision in nasty economic times as to allocating a difference of $275,000, sir, to acquire a property that you have a question. And I do believe that at the June 23rd meeting, you stated that you agreed that a third appraisal would be of good value and very useful. Now, when one has two appraisals in the real estate business, and I've spent 25 years in the business, sir, as an environmental geologist and a land planning consultant, you get a third. And if you have to pay $2,000 or $3,000 to conceivably save $275,000, I would, with all due respect, argue that that's a hell of an investment. And yes, the Harrises may not like it, but the fact of the matter is, due diligence indicates that this committee or this board, some of these questions should have been asked. And then if that's the case, then tell everybody we're overpaid. We may be overpaid, but we want it so badly we think it's more important than using the money for something else. Because it is our taxpayers' money you guys are responsible for. So your decisions are fine. I'm trying to understand the process by which you made these decisions, not questioning the decision itself. I understand that the decision's been made. It's going to vote. But I find some of these questions to, make me wonder as to potential perception of conflict of interest on Ms. Pisani's part. The fact that two different charges were given when the minutes did not indicate that two different charges were instructed to the selectmen to give to her. And had Mr. McDermott, Stern's numbers used on McDermott, you guys would be sit arguing what's the difference between $525,000 and $800,000. And do we even go back? Because much to her surprise, it came back, to your surprise, it came down to $800,000 in a short period of time after that public meeting.
Actually, it wasn't to our surprise, but that's okay.
Okay, well, and I laud you.
For anything you'd like.
I laud you for getting it, and I apologize for that statement because, again, it's not on the public record because there's nothing in the minutes to indicate it. But I'm trying to understand why a third appraisal wasn't done. You've explained that. I'm trying to understand who was responsible for the process. You've explained that. And I understand you can't talk about what you talked about in the executive session. So any dialogues that were held with Ms. Pisani and the first selectman and you guys are not, and Mr. Eder, are not subject to public referral. But I keep coming back to the fact that you have two appraisals. Mr. McDermott's was two, and again, sir, I worked with a lot of appraisers, two comparable market studies, and Mr. McDermott gave you a development/income analysis. He comes up with $600,000 and Mr. Stern comes up with $910,000. I would have thought that that discrepancy, and with the knowledge that the reports show a decrease in the value of properties, that you would have attempted to go back and negotiate with the Harrises a deal to be closer to 600 or 550 or whatever a third appraisal might have said, or an equalization. I mean, if you add the tax assessor's use of the Vision Quest file, the property's appraised value was $580,000.
Well, I can tell you, we didn't go back to the Harrises and offer $800,000. We did start lower, but $800,000 is where a buyer and a seller came to a final number. I mean, you could say it's worth $400,000, but if the seller doesn't agree to sell it for $400,000, then there's no sale.
Or the buyer decides he doesn't want to pay too much for it, there's no sale.
So what it is now, between the two parties that were in, it's agreed to by both, and now it goes to the ultimate authority, the town.
So the Board of Finance thinks 800,000 based on your vote is a reasonable price to pay for that property.
Right, they pass that on to the townspeople.